So I have shared my screen. Hope you people can able to see that, and if anybody is having any issues, just let me know. So today we are going to talk about something called the stats pack report, and basically this report is going to be generated whenever you feel that the entire database performance is bad. So whatever the phases we saw till yesterday, those phases are to be used only when your a particular SQL query is running slow. But this hatchback report you need to use whenever the entire database is running slow. And what we are going to do in Statspack report generation is, for whatever the duration the database is behaving bad, during that duration we are going to generate this Statspack report. For example, application team is saying that in entire day between 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the morning, so the database is behaving bad, and before 11 o'clock and after 2 o'clock the performance is fine. So that means something is going wrong between 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock, and to analyze that we are going to use this StatsPack report. So how we are going to generate the StatsPack report, the steps are there. So let us go through those steps and see how we can generate it. So as a first step, we are going to execute one command or one script here. So the script is going to reside in RTKMS admin location, and the script name is spcreate.sql. So what this script is going to do is, this script is going to create a user by the name perfstat, and while creating it is going to ask you for the password for this perfstat user. You can give any password. For example, I say P123. Then it is going to ask you for the tablespace name for this particular user. So you know it already, whenever you create a user you need to assign one default permanent tablespace and one temporary tablespace. So it is going to ask you that information here, and we have that tablespace name to be provided here. And if you don't provide any information, then it is going to take sysocs tablespace by default. So let us go with the default value only. And now it is asking for temporary table space, and you don't have multiple choices, so only the option that you have is temp table space. So here also you can hit enter button, then it will take the default value. Then it is going to create the necessary tables, views, synonyms, etc. under this perfstat user, and those tables and views are going to store the statistics information whenever we generate the report. So now that the user creation and the object creation is done, so now what you need to do is you need to connect as that perfstat user, and at what time you need to generate the report. So you need to execute this command at the time. So there is a command called execute statspack.snap. As I have taken one example, database performance is bad between 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock. So this command execute statspack.snap you need to run at 11 o'clock, that is at the beginning time, and once again you need to run this at the end time, that is at 2 o'clock. So let us execute this for first time. So, and then you can execute for the second time also. And in practice databases, either you wait for 1 minute or 1 hour, you don't see any difference because there is no real performance issue here. So that's the reason I am executing it immediately. So the begin one, the first one will act as begin time, and the second time when I run it, it will act as end time. So once we have this command executed for 2 times, we need to generate a report between these 2 time frames, and for that we are going to execute one more script, that is sp report.sql. So when you execute this sp report.sql, it is going to ask you to provide the snap IDs. So here you can see it is asking to provide the value for the begin snap ID. So that snap ID information you would be getting from just above that. So here you have the begin snap ID as 1. So give that snap ID here, and then it will ask you for the end snap ID, and end snap ID is nothing but 2. So give that one also. So once you provide these begin snap and end snap between those 2 time zones or time frame, it is going to generate a report for you. And by default, StatsPack report will be having a level of 5. So totally StatsPack report will support 10 levels, starting with level 1 to level 10. But out of level 10 levels, it is going to make use of, or by default it will go for level 5. And even in real time also, we generally don't change more than 5 levels. Just give me a moment, guys. I'm just getting a call. Okay, sorry. Fine. So after you provide the begin snap ID and end snap ID values, then it is going to ask you to provide some report name. And if you don't provide any report name, it will take by default this name, sp1_2. So here what I am doing is I am providing some name like this, sp_prodb underscore report. So now it is going to generate a StatsPack report for you. So where this report will be generated, from wherever you executed this, in that present working directory, that report will be generated. So here is your report. And basically StatsPack report is going to have certain information, like it is having information like what are all the instance statistics, like how your instance is behaving. It contains database level statistics, so through which you can understand how your database is working. And finally it will have information about what are all the SQL queries that are executed during this time. So I open that StatsPack report. Now you can see in the beginning it is going to give you the information about the database, like it will give you what is your database ID is and what is the instance name, at what time your database is started, what is the version of your database, and is your database is RAC environment or not, and etc. information, and what are your cache sizes, like how much is your buffer cache size, how much is your shared pool size. It is going to give you all that information. So we really don't require to analyze anything out of those. That is just for our information. The one which we need to concentrate here is load profile section. So this load profile section is one of the important ones. So under load profile also, again we are not going to touch all the parameters. We will be touching only some parameters. So the first one we are looking into is logical reads and physical reads. So you know already what is meant by a logical read and what is meant by a physical read. If a select query can able to retrieve the data from the buffer cache itself, then you are going to call it as logical read. If a select query is going to retrieve the data from the data files by accessing the disk IO, then we call it as a physical read. And we already know that always logical reads are good for the database and physical reads are bad for the database. So here with these two values or with these two columns, logical reads and physical reads, what you need to observe is logical reads are more than physical reads or not. For example, here you can see logical reads are 197 per second or 3940 per transaction. And when comes to physical reads, it is completely not there. So it is 0. That means my database performance is fine regarding the IO consumption. Suppose if you observe that physical reads are happening more and logical reads are happening less, then definitely there would be some problem with the performance of database. And to reduce the number of physical reads, you need to increase the size of database buffer cache. Or if it is a 10G database or 11G database, you need to increase the size of SCA target, or if it is 11G, you need to increase the size of memory underscore target. So that is the first check that we are going to do. So we are going to compare the values between logical reads and physical reads, and if physical reads are more, then we need to increase the size of database buffer cache. So that is the first check that we are going to do inside the StatsTrack report. And the second one is parsing and hard parsing. Now what is mean by parsing and hard parsing? Suppose I have issued one select query, you know that the very first time it will go for parsing, and the second time also I issue the same select query, then you know that it will not undergo parsing. And instead of undergoing the parsing, it will make use of already parsed statement. And if Oracle makes use of this already parsed statement, then we are going to call it as soft parsing. And second time also, if the statement is going for parsing once again, then we are going to call it as hard parsing. And hard parsing are bad to the database and soft parsings are good to the database. So here parsing means soft parse and hard parse means the one which we discussed. So here also what you need to do is you need to check the values between hard parse and soft parse, and always soft parse should have higher value than the hard parse. So for example, here if you look at soft parses, you are having 6.40 per second, whereas hard parses are having 1.95 per second. So that means per second almost 6.5 statements, or let's take 6 statements are doing soft parsing and 2 statements approximately are going for hard parsing. So comparative to the figures, hard parsing is less, so really we don't require to bother anything. But for example, if you observe that hard parsing is more and soft parsing is less, then you need to go and increase the size of shade pool, because parsing is going to take place inside shade pool. So those are the two things that we need to check in load profile section. One is between logical reads and physical reads, then the other one between parsing and hard parsing. So before we proceed further, anyone is having queries, just let me know. Okay. Second time, why it will go for parsing is, suppose by the time you issue the statement second time, if the parsed statement which was already done for the first time got flushed out from the library cache, then second time Oracle once again will do the hard parsing. Because you already know that shade pool will follow LRU algorithm, so it is going to happen because of that. So is that point clear, Sami? Okay. So any more questions from anyone? Yeah, if hard parsing is high, we need to increase the size of shade pool, because hard parsing will be usually high because the statements are getting flushed out from library cache. So the solution would be to increase the library cache size, or I mean the shade pool size, because we don't have a direct mechanism to increase the size of library cache. Yes, all this will be DBA work only, because it's completely belong to Oracle database. So any more questions from anyone? I didn't get you, Sanjay. Can you come once again, please? Okay. Printout of this report, usually we don't take it. But really, if you want to do that, you need to copy that to a notepad in your Windows machine, because this report is generated on a database server. So from database server, if you want to generate a, you can't directly take a printout. So what you can do is you can copy this report using WinSCP. For example, let me connect to WinSCP here. So I would be connecting to WinSCP. Assume this Windows machine is my office desktop, through which I can able to take printouts. So what I can do is, here is my report. So I'm just copying that to desktop. And from here, because this is a text report, you can open with Notepad or WordPad, whatever it is. And then you can give a print here. Okay. So like this you need to go ahead. So still any queries from anyone? Okay. So let us move on to the next one. So that is instance efficiency percentages. So basically depends on the above values the parsing and hard parsing, then logical reads and physical reads, these percentages will vary. So normally what is Oracle recommendation is these percentages either should show you 100% or not less than 90%. So always these percentages should show you above 90%, but sometimes it may not be possible to have 90%, but still your database might work fine. So what is my recommendation is don't really concentrate on checking out these percentages, and don't think that always 90% or above will be good. That is what Oracle recommends, but practically it may not be possible. So but if you really see a very lower value, for example you see that library hit percentage, here it is showing as 90%. Suppose you saw very less value, I mean somewhere around 60% or 50%, then again the solution would be increasing the library cache size. So we don't have a direct option, so we need to increase the size of shared pool. So most of the times whatever you deal with memory, the solution would be increasing the memory size only, because with memory more than that we can't do any tuning. So either you need to increase or either you need to decrease. So that will be the only solution that we have. And then you will be having something called top 5 timed events. So there is another section here which you can see, top 5 timed events. So what is mean by top 5 timed events means what are all the events, or I mean events in the sense actions in the database. So what are all the actions that are waited for more time in your database? So that is what you are going to specify here. So there are, there could be so many events in the database that will be causing the issues, performance issues. But out of those events, what are all the top 5 will be listed here. So here what you need to do is, you have different events like you can see CPU time, then control file parallel write, log file parallel write, log file sync, control file sequential read, etc. So like this, you would be having so many wait events. So these are all called as wait events in general. So you Oracle is having nearly about 100 plus wait events. So because of that reason, we really could not able to remember each and every wait event, what is the reason for it and what is the solution. So what usually we do is, every time we occur some wait event, we will just Google it, we will get the reason and the solution also. So how you need to analyze which wait event is taking more time? You need to look at this particular column, waits. So if you look at waits column here, out of all the 5 wait events, control file sequential read is the one which is taking more time. So it is saying 91 waits are there. So when you have this control file sequential read file, what is the reason and what is the solution? We will go through it. So the reason, you can see the name there, control file sequential read. That means Oracle is reading the information from the control files in a sequential order. So whenever Oracle is reading from the control files, and there will be a multiplexing for control files. So that means basically, let's say if you have 3 multiplexed copies, Oracle is reading from all the 3 multiplexed copies, and during that reading it is taking more time. Now the question here is, why Oracle is taking more time in order to read from control files, or especially in sequential reading? Because the reason would be your control files are located in the same hard disk, or your control files are having multiplexing, but that multiplexing didn't follow optimal flexible architecture. So you know already what is meant by optimal flexible architecture. It is nothing but having the multiplexed copies of files in different hard disks. So that is what Oracle strongly recommends. But if you don't follow that, then you will be landing up with this particular wait event. Like this, as I said, there are so many wait events, and every time you need to go to Google and you need to find out the reason and the solution also. Or apart from that, I have some documents in my blog. So if you go to my blog, I hope everybody knows that, powerbda.com. So if you go to my blog, and you will be seeing a tab called Important Docs. So once you click on this Important Docs, you will be seeing 3 documents here under Performance Tuning heading. One is Analyzing AWR or StatsPack Report 1. Second one is Analyzing Report 2 and Report 3. So there will be basically 3 reports shown here. So what is my recommendation is, please go through these reports. You will understand on how to analyze this StatsPack report. Already I told you some points. But apart from that, still much more knowledge you will be getting out about the wait events also. Like it will give you some information about the wait events, their causes and the solutions also. So please go through these 3 documents so that you will be get ready for the interviews also. And what mostly will be asked in interviews is they will ask you, how to analyze the StatsPack report. So if they ask you a question how to analyze the StatsPack report, you need to have an answer, and that answer you will be getting by just reading these 3 documents. So that is what we have with StatsPack report. And when it comes to 10G, Oracle has extended some of its features regarding StatsPack, and it has improved some features, and it came with another kind of report which we call it as AWR report, or the full form says Automatic Workload Repository Report. So as you can see the points here, it is an extension to the StatsPack report, and it got introduced in 10G. And what we did in StatsPack report generation, if you remember, we just ran this particular command, execute statspack.snap, during the begin time and during the end time also. Let's suppose your manager asks you to execute this statements at morning 5 o'clock as the begin time, and night 2 o'clock as the end time. Now it is not possible as to stay back from morning 5 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the office and manually do these things. So what is enhanced in 10G is, every 1 hour automatically Oracle will run these commands internally. That means every 1 hour Oracle will collect the statistics of the database internally. So that is from 10G onwards, and what you need to do is just go and generate a report automatically. So really we don't require to run the commands at begin time and end time. What you can do is, you can just take out the report, because already the statistics will be collected by Oracle every 1 hour. And not only that, AWR report is look-wise it is exactly same as StatsPack report, but the enhancement is AWR report can be generated in HTML format also. So instead of text format, just like in StatsPack report, along with text format, AWR can be generated in HTML format also. And as I said, every 1 hour Oracle is going to collect the statistics. That means per day Oracle is going to generate 24 statistics, or we call it as snapshots. So Oracle is going to gather or Oracle is going to generate 24 snapshots per day. Like this, it is going to store for 7 days in the database. So that means 24 into 7. Those many snapshots will be there in the database, and after that, whatever the new snapshots that are created, those will remove the older snapshots. For example, Sunday to Saturday, the information will be there in the database. On the next Sunday, it is going to remove the previous Sunday information. So at any moment of time, only 7 days information will be there in the database. So now let us go and see how to generate this AWR report. We need to just execute one simple script. So we need to run AWR rpt.sql. So as I said, AWR is having two versions. One is HTML format and other one is text format. So here it will ask you whether you want a HTML format or text format, and if you don't enter any value and hit the enter button, then it will take by default HTML format. So let us take HTML format because text format we already saw in StatsPack. Now it is going to ask you for how many number of days you want to generate the AWR report. Because as I said, for 7 days Oracle is going to store this information. So it will ask you for how many days you want to generate a report. Let's take 7 days only. Then it is going to give you the list of all the snapshots that are generated in the past 7 days. So here if you look at every 1 hour, the snapshot is generating 8:30, then 9:30, then 10:30, like this. So these are all, we call it as snapshots. And one thing you can observe here is between 59 and 60 there is a time gap. You can see it here. So whenever there is a gap in the output. So whenever you see that there is a gap between two snap IDs, then you need to understand that the database has been restarted during that time. That means here in my case between 6:30 to 7:36 database got restarted. Now the problem is whenever the database got restarted, you cannot generate a report between 59 and 60. For example, see here, I am entering the begin snap as 59 and I am entering the end snap as 60. See what Oracle is saying. Oracle says you cannot generate a report between those two snap IDs because the database was shut down during that time. So this is one important point that you need to remember, that it is not possible to generate the StatsPack report, AWR report, if the database is down. So once again I am executing it, and now what I am doing is I am taking different snapshots. I am generating from 60 to 73. So just like in StatsPack, here also it will ask you to provide the report name, but if you don't provide report name, it will take by default this name. So let it go by default. Okay, we got one thing saying temporary table space error. Just give me a moment, I will solve it. So this okay. So it says report got generated, but no, it is of 0 size. Not sure why it is not generating it. Okay, let me take a different value. Let me take 2. From 2 I am taking till 59. So this time it ran successfully. So you can see the report over here. So because HTML reports we can't open through PuTTY session, we need to copy that through WinSCP to our Windows machine. So this is my HTML file. I am just dragging and dropping it, and now I can open it in the Windows machine. So this is how your AWR report is going to look like. So as I said, similar to StatsPack report, it is going to have load profile section. Then below that it is going to have instance efficiency percentages, and below that it is having top 5 timed events, etc., etc. So it is exactly similar to your StatsPack report only. So again, those 3 documents which I mentioned in my blog, those 3 documents will help you to understand AWR report also. So these 3 documents will help you for analyzing both AWR report as well as the StatsPack report. So any questions from anyone? Okay, library cache, you know it already, that library cache is responsible for storing the parsed SQL statements. So whenever you issue a select query, there will be a phase called parsing, and that will be taking place in library cache. So whenever a statement second time gets executed, and that statement comes to library cache, if it can able to identify already parsed statement, then we call it as a library cache hit or library hit. And suppose the second time statement came down to library cache, but it could not able to identify the first version, then we call it as library cache miss. So basically hit means the data is available in the memory, miss means the data is not available in the memory. So any questions from anyone? Okay. So the next one we have is ASH report. Now as you can see, the first point, basically if at all you get a information like the database performance has been bad from the last 15 minutes, then basically you can generate this ASH report. So the full form is active session history report. That means it will give you the information what are all the sessions which are very much active in the database, because sometimes performance issues will occur because the session is too active in the database. So when I say too active, it is like it is going to consume so much of memory, or either it is consuming so much of CPU, so like that. So basically this ASH report is going to give you that information, like which sessions are consuming high CPU or which sessions are consuming high memory, and those sessions obviously is the reason for performance issues. So whenever you identify a session is consuming more memory or CPU, you need to contact your application team or development team, and you need to inform them that this session is taking too high values, and they are answerable for the next series of actions. So most of the times in real time, if you find out that info and if you share that with application team, usually there will be two solutions. One is either application team will ask you to let it run. I mean, even though performance issue is there, if that particular session is very important to execute, then application team says, okay boss, let's leave it. They will say like that. And sometimes they will ask you to kill the session. And somewhere in another topic we saw the comments also on how to kill a session. So we'll be using the same steps, and we will be killing that particular session which is causing the problem. So even if I run the ASH report in practice database, you won't see any information. So that's why I'm not executing it. And enhancing the things in 10G, Oracle came with something called ADDM report, or automatic database diagnostic monitor report. So basically this ADDM is a tool which is going to give you some recommendations to improve the performance of the database. And it is going to generate the recommendations based on the snapshots that are generated every 1 hour. So let me show you one sample ADDM report, then you will understand more, and how we will be generating the report with the help of this query. With the help of this script ADDM rpg.sql. But if you run this in your practice database, you won't see any impact. So I am taking one sample ADDM report from Google. Okay, so this is one sample report that is being shown. So initially it is going to give you the information about what are all the database time period it has gathered for, etc. So we don't really require to concentrate on that, but what we require is to start with this section, findings and recommendations. Now finding number 1. So that comes into the category of IO throughput. That means something wrong with the IO. Now see what is the impact. I mean, what is the finding? So the finding says the throughput of the IO subsystem was significantly lower than expected. That means there is huge IO going on in the database, and Oracle is expecting this to be behaving in one way, but actually it is behaving even worse than that. Now when you have this particular finding, it is also giving you some recommendations here. So this is the advantage with ADDM report. It not only give you the finding information, it will even give you the recommendation on what you need to do. So for example, you can see action, and the action says consider increasing the throughput of the IO subsystem, and for this Oracle recommendation solution is to stripe all the data files using the same methodology. You might also need to increase the number of disks for better performance. So these 2 points which we already know in OFA. So you know it already. Optimal flexible architecture says you need to maintain the files into multiple disks, and also you need to spread your data files and all across multiple disks. So you should never place all the files in one disk. You know, if you do so, the performance will be really bad. So this is what the recommendation that Oracle is giving. Go and implement OFA. So this is one recommendation. And for the same problem, another recommendation is consider slowing down the RMN or data pump activity, or schedule these jobs when the user activity is lower. So that means when this particular when users are doing the transaction, might be parallelly RMN backup is going on, or data pump export or import is going on. So what is the recommendation from Oracle is you need to reschedule these jobs to a later point of time, because user is doing that activity, so you need to leave the entire resources to user. So because of that, you need to reschedule to another time. That is one recommendation. And when you still scroll down, here you have another finding, that is undersized instance memory. And it says the Oracle instance memory was inadequately sized, causing the additional I/O and CPU usage, and the value of parameter memory underscore target was set to 500 MB. And what is the recommendation that is giving here is increase the memory allocated to the instance by setting the parameter memory underscore target to 875 MB. So you can see this how much, how effective it is. It is not only telling you to increase the parameter value, but it is also telling to what value you need to increase. So more than this, no other third-party tool will give you the clear recommendations. So that is the reason this has become very good utility from 10G onwards for DBS. So if at all you observe some performance issue, just run this ADDM report. It will tell you what you need to do. So like this, it will give you so many findings and so many recommendations. So is these points clear about ADDM, or anyone is having questions? Yeah, in real time we will use ADDM only, because we both use AWR as well as ADDM, but AWR will not give you any recommendations. So it is just you need to generate the report and you need to manually analyze it, but ADDM will give you the recommendations also. So usually we prefer to go for ADDM first, then if not AWR. Okay, if the database is 99, you need to stick with stats bug report only. We don't have any other choice. So any questions? Okay. So that is all about ADDM and other reports that we have in the database. So the next one we need to look into is Enterprise Manager. So Enterprise Manager basically is a tool which got introduced in 8 itself. So through which you can do all the DB activities, like whatever the commands we saw till now, like adding a data file, resizing data file, or taking export, or taking the backup. All these actions you can do with a browser here, with a graphical interface when you use this enterprise manager. So as you can see the points over there, the first point says it is a tool through which you can manage the entire database and can perform all database actions through a single click. The difference is in 9i you use it to have this Oracle Enterprise Manager in a standalone machine. So that means it is restricted to use within the network. But when it comes to 10G, the enhancement is it was made as browser based. So you can uh, connect to your database and you can perform any activity from anywhere in the world, but not through a public network like internet. You will be using a virtual private network, or we call it as VPN. So using private network, you will be collecting it, and then you will be doing the task. This is how we will be managing the databases for abroad country clients, by sitting in India. Like even though the geographical locations are different, still how we are managing the US databases or UK databases is because of these private networks. So that comes more in a network admin way. So they will take care of that. And as fourth point says, Enterprise Manager either can be configured through DBCA or it can be configured through manual way also. So how to configure through manual way, I have given steps, and of course very long steps are there here. And sometimes because of some reasons, even after you perform all these steps, the configuration may not be successful. So that is the reason it is always better to use DBCA in real time also. So what I am doing is I am invoking DBCA to do graphical interface. So for that I am invoking VLC server first. And let me so I am invoking DBCA, and through which I will configure Enterprise Manager. And Enterprise Manager can be configured while creating the database also. So either you can do it while creating the database using DBCA, or you can do it later point of time. So first screen I said next. Now because I want to configure only Enterprise Manager, I need to click on the second option, that is configure database options, and the next we need to select for which database we want this. Then you will be getting this screen. So you can see that screen, configure the database with Enterprise Manager. So already it is selected. So you need to just say next and next. Finally, you need to provide password for 2 users. So whenever you configure Enterprise Manager, Oracle will create 2 users. As you can see on the screen, one user is DBSNMP and the other user is sysman. So if you want, you can provide different password for these users. Here I am going with the same password, and it is dedicated server mode. So click on finish and OK. Then it is going to configure Enterprise Manager for you. Okay, so as I said, once the enterprise manager has been configured, we are going to use browser based from 10G onwards. So here it will give you some URL. You can see the second line which says the database control URL is so and so. So you need to remember this URL and you need to access through that URL. So, and the last line it says, do you want to perform any other operation? Not required. So now what I will do is I will open Internet Explorer. Usually, Internet Explorer is the best one to make use of rather than using other browsers like Google Chrome or Mozilla and all. So what I am doing is I am just typing the URL, and one more thing is in URL it may give you the server name, like it will show you something like pc20.kannatechnologies.com in my case, but rather than using host name, it is better to use IP address. So here what I did is I just said http:// then your server IP address, then colon 1158 is the port number what we got in the screen, and /em. So we need to enter this one and say once you enter this line, hit enter button. Okay, so it is going to show something. Now let me check something over here. So here the thing is, it is showing everything is down, like database is down, all the red colors you can see with the down mark, that means it is not able to connect. And here you can see a line which says no listener. So enterprise manager basically uses TLS entries in order to connect to the database. So if your listener is down, then enterprise manager won't work properly. So here you can see listener is not up and running. So let me start the listener. So the first I am going to network admin to identify if listener.array is there. Okay, listener.array is there, and the listener name is listener_.db. So I am starting that listener. Now let us try. So sometimes this will take time in order to get refresh. And sometimes even because of cookies or temporary files also we may land at this. So I'm just deleting all those things. Seems there is some issue. So seems there is some issue. No issues. We will just see this tomorrow. I will make sure that it is going to work. But when you practice, everything will be perfect. Here I have some issues with connectivity and all. So we will see this enterprise manager practically tomorrow. So let us jump to the next topic, that is how to change the database name. So basically you have two ways to change the database name. One is by recreating the control file, and the other one is by using a utility called dbuid. So let us go and see how we can do that. So the first thing is when you are using the first method, that is by recreating the control file, first you need to issue this command, alter database backup control file to trace. Now let me run those commands. So first I need to issue this command alter database backup control file to trace. Then you know this already, we saw in complete control file recovery. So this is going to generate a script in udump location. So this is my script. So what I need to do is I need to open that script, and you know the script contains create control file commands. So and this create control file command will appear 2 times in the script. One will be with no reset logs and the second time will be with reset logs. So in complete control file recovery we need to take the one which says no reset logs, but here you need to take the second script, that is which is saying reset logs here. So you need to just copy this into some file. For example, let me copy into vi change db name .sql. So I am taking some name and paste it here. Then save this file. That is the second thing you need to do. And not only saving, you need to do one change also. The change is, instead of reuse, you need to here write down set. And instead of prod db, now you need to give new name. For example, I want to give prod123. Instead of prod db, I want to change with prod123. So you need to do these two changes and save the file. And then you need to say show parameter control files by connecting to the database. Then you need to say alter system set db name equals to prod123 and scope equals to sp file. Okay, it says it cannot be updated in sp file. Okay, that is fine, we can change that later also. Now shut down, create one p file then, because it's saying it cannot it cannot do modifications in sp file. So I am creating one p file here. Just give me a moment, I am getting a call. So, fine. So we created a p file. Then we are going to shut down the database. take some time. Okay, so after shutdown, what are the things that we need to do is, we at OS level we need to remove all these control files because we are going to create new control files. So what we need to do is rm give that path and say start.ctl. And suppose if your control files are multiplexed into multiple locations, then you need to remove all the multiplexed copies also. And not only that, you need to go to dbs location, and whatever the existing sp file is there, just rename that as existing sp file, because we are going to do the modifications in p file. So I'm just rename this one and open your p file. And after you open the p file, what you do is come to this parameter or come to this line which says db name equals to, and if you remember, we are trying to change the database name from proddb to prod123. So here we need to actually do the change. So here instead of db, I need to write down prod123 and save this p file. And now connect to your database using sysdba and start up no mount. Even you can't mount it because control files are not there. So you need to say start up no mount and verify whether your db name got changed or not. Yes, it is showing you prod123. Now what you need to do is execute the script which you have saved. For example, I have saved the script with this name, change underscore db underscore name, but that script is located in different location, so I need to give entire path. So this is my location. So once you do that, it says control file created, and now you can say alter database open. Okay, sorry, because we are doing with reset logs, our create control file is having reset logs, so we need to open with reset logs. That means your database is again will be like a fresh database. And to confirm whether your database name changed or not, you can query this $$ database, and now you can see the database name was changed. So like this you will be doing the DB name change. But rather than, if you feel that rather than going all these steps, then there is method 2, which is using a utility called dbNewID. This one is a bit simpler for us. So here basically you are going to use a command like this, NID target equals to slash. Target means the target database, slash means you want to connect as SDBA, and DB name equals to prod123, like new name. Here you need to provide any new name that you want. And you can see here the above steps will change the database ID as well as the name also. But if you want to change only the database name, then you need to use this command. And here also, if this command is not working, means SP file is not working, make use of P file. So let us do that. So I am doing check immediate. Let me reset back this to prod.db. So I am opening P file once again to change the name. So DB name I am changing once again to prod DB. Save the file. And as a second step, you need to place the database in mount phase. So that is what the second step here is. You need to place it in mount phase. So this step I performed before itself. That's the only difference. Okay, so database name prod123 in control file is not prod DB. Okay. I did a mistake actually. I should not change that. Let it keep it as prod123. So let me do check immediate and start up mount. Then I need to use the command NID target equals to slash, then DB name equals to prod DB, that is new name which I want to change. And if I leave the things as it is, then as I said, both the database name and DB ID will change. But let's say I want to change only name, then I need to say set name equals to yes. And it will ask you for the confirmation. Do you want to change the database name from prod123 to prod DB? Yes. Then it will do the rest of the actions. So you can see here that proceeding with the operation, changing the database name from prod123 to prod DB, and it has updated all your control files, then data files also. Then it said database name changed to prod DB. So your database name changed successfully. Now you need to change in P file. So change in P file and connect to the database. And already it is in shutdown state. So you need to say startup mount. Then alter database, open, reset logs. Okay. So if reset logs is not required, you can just say alter database, open. And to confirm, you can again use the same query $database. Now you can see again it was changed to prod DB. So similarly, below you have some 3 steps in order to change the name of instance. So how to change the name of the instance? You have that here. So very simple steps. You can go through that. So we left out with something called flashback features. So tomorrow, first we will be beginning with Enterprise Manager. We will see practically the Enterprise Manager logging in. What are all we can do with Enterprise Manager. We'll see those screens, and followed by these flashback features. We will discuss about what are all these flashback features, and then we will see how to upgrade a database from 10.0 version to 10.04. So that actually we call it as applying a patch set, or some people will call it as upgrading the database also. So either way you can call it. So we will see those 3 topics tomorrow. So before we close the call, anyone is having any queries? Yes, I mean both the methods, method 1 and method 2, both will work in from 8i onwards. So any other questions? Okay. So then